For this lesson, I'm going to be showing you some advanced text treatments that we did earlier in class, as well as inverting a selection. So I'm just going to start with my Daniel Craig picture. I'm going to duplicate it. I could click duplicate layer here, or just drag it over to the page icon in the layer window. I'm going to hide the bottom, and I'm going to add a layer mask. Now, I'm going to make a capital letter T. I'm just going to scale it up very big, holding shift to keep the proportions, like so. We want something very bold. Color doesn't matter. So I'm going to click OK to accept the transformation. Now, I'm going to hide the letter. I'm going to Command click or Control click to get the selection of the letter. What I want to have is the opposite of this mask. I want only the opposite to be seen, so I'm going to go Select, Inverse, and go to my mask, delete the information. Now if I did it before the other way, the T would have been cut out of his face. This is I wanted a letter T with Daniel Craig's face in it, so I did the opposite of the letter T. Now, here's something I didn't get to in class. Over here in the Layers window, you've got your mask. You see the selection around it. You've got your image. You see the selection around it. Between the two of them is a chain link. I'm going to click off the chain link. It's gone. So now when I go back over to this window and I have my Move tool selected, and I move the image of Daniel Craig, the mask stays where it is. Now I can have his eyes in the T for some interest, center it a little bit better. And then I could just re-click in between them to link and unify them. That's one quick example of selecting the inverse, unlinking the mask, and getting a creative shape out of it. And again, say this was your poster, or you're doing something like this for your poster. I'm going to add a layer behind it. Pick any color you like. I'm just going to do... I'll actually grab my eyedropper tool right here. And we'll pick a blue from his eyes. You'll see it changing over here. If you're not getting what you want, you can change it up here. 3x3, 5x5, all layers. So I'm going to pick a blue right there. I like that blue. Got my layer selected that I made. It's empty. Edit, fill, foreground color. We have preserve transparency clicked off. I'm going to give an example coming up next of using that. So since preserve transparency is clicked off, the entire layer will get the foreground color. There you go. Now the next advanced type technique I'm going to teach, let's get rid of this mask. Let's just do this. All right, so I'm going to delete the mask. Right click, delete layer mask. And we move the image, so I'm just going to put it back to where it was. Okay, now I'm going to keep this blue color that I liked. I'm going to make this type say 007, hit return, D, Craig. I probably spelled it wrong. Okay. Now I'm going to go Window, Character. Make my font, let's try 200 on 180. Let's move it up, see what we've got. He's not 00, he's 007. Here we go. And I'm going to just make that a bit bigger. So let's try 400 on 380. That's too loose, so I'm going to try 350. Yeah, that's better. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my blue layer above the Daniel Craig picture. I'm going to hide my type. I'm going to Control or Command click to get the selection of the type. Select my layer with a solid color and delete it. Now, I'm going to just delete as much of the solid that I want. I'm going to keep about the same space between the letters and the edge. I'm just going to delete that. So now you've got an interesting type treatment. And again, as I said, I'm going to show you the difference. Say the person, your client, wants more of a, let's just pick a green color. No, we'll pick the color of his coat. So I'm going to get my eyedropper tool. I'm going to pick a color from around there. That's pretty good. Now, this time when I go Edit, Fill, I'm going to preserve transparency, because if I hit Fill, the whole layer will get filled in. We only want the transparency to stay where it is. So now, just that part of the layer is filled in. And you've got an interesting treatment with type. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my block copy. And I'm just going to get some type. Click. Paste it in. It's obviously got to be a lot smaller than what it is. So window character. Let's try 25 on 20. And here's the letter spacing in between. Let's try 50% so that they're in a lot. Nope, that's the horizontal, sorry. This is the spacing in between the words. Now it's nice and dense. So I'm just going to copy it all. Okay, and then move it to about where we want it. I'm going to click inside the T to edit my type. I want to get rid of this return. One more to get rid of it. There we go. Do the same in each layer. Each line. We need the type to be tight for this effect to work. We'll get rid of the lines in between the spaces, in between the sentences, like that. Okay. So, for this, we're going to work on a clipping mask for this effect to work. To get a clipping mask, we have to have a mask that's going to be shaped, that will be the shape. So I'm adding a layer mask to Daniel Craig. You can use whatever you like. You could use your shape tool. You could use your lasso. And remember, if you hold down Alt or Option, you can get clicking points. You can click and drag to get more fine shapes. You can use your brushes. Oh, let me deselect that. The brush. Now the brush might need to have a different color. Yep, see, we had to go black for the brush to work. Change my opacity to 100, my flow to 100. If I want a soft brush, keep it at 0. If I want a hard brush, keep it at 1. Just gonna mask around them real fast. I would use the magic wand, but it's too close to his skin tones with the background. So I'm just gonna quickly just mask around him to demonstrate this. Okay, so we've got our mask around Daniel Craig. We'll put back on our type. I believe the mask needs to go on top. I'm going to right click, create clipping mask. Yep, so the mask does go on top. You can't see the type that well, so we're going to make a new layer beneath it. If I have it selected on this layer and I click new layer, it'll go above it. So I'm just going beneath it to save myself some time. And I will make this black. I'm going to go Edit, Fill. I want the entire layer to be filled in, so I'm going to turn off Preserve Transparency. Now you can see the type better. And again, you can edit it to whatever you need. So like I said before, this technique needs to have tight spacing. If I unlink my mask and I start moving the Daniel Craig picture, oh, I had the wrong layer selected, sorry about that. You can position it to exactly how you want it. And then you can always delete the type you don't want. And that's the difference between a clipping mask and just masking out something.